Welcome back, everybody, to this yet unnamed video series where I work on small bike projects and also philosophize. I've learned that I'm actually not a very good ranger, so it's more like philosophizing and thinking out loud. Last week, when I posted about the Paul cranks I installed on this bike, I got lots of comments on the gram, in particular about my unusual, unorthodox, ungainly front trailer setup. I'm going to prove to you guys that it works and why it's set up like that. The theme I want to talk about today is bike mechanics. And this is kind of inspired by some comments and a email that I got recently. In one email in particular, someone had brought their bike to a bike shop and wanted to do a wide range double. The mechanics at that bike shop and at another one said it wasn't possible and they didn't want to do it. But because of all the half videos I've been doing, they were able to do it at home. I absolutely love that email. It makes me think that I'm just not making these videos into like some faceless void and that somebody is at least getting some value out of it. So what's up with mechanics today? Are they too afraid to experiment? Are they more parts installers than problem solvers? I'd be curious to know what your experience is. I've got my theories, but before I get into that, let's look at my kind of triggering front derailleur setup. I can already hear the communal groan from home mechanics and shop mechanics alike. But let me explain. I'm a big fan of running wide load chain rings. So basically, what used to be mountain bike doubles, they make great adventure crank sets. And the big ring is usually fairly small, usually a 40, sometimes a 42. This one happens to be a 38 just because that's what came with the Spider. And the problem is that most derailleurs have a cage here that's designed for larger chain rings. So think 50 or 52, sometimes a 46. There are fairly few front derailleurs, especially now, that are designed for these smaller chain rings. The best you can do is probably try to find some mountain bike front derailleurs. There's some question about whether or not they are compatible with road shifters, which this bike has. But honestly, this is the front derailleur that this bike came with. I put on these cranks and just made it work. So typically, if you've ever seen a new front derailleur, there's a sticker that has some teeth, and you're supposed to put the top of the cage like 2 or 3 millimeters above the front teeth. Clearly, this is more than 2 or 3 millimeters, and this is for a couple reasons. The main one being getting clearance of the chainstay here. Since this front derailleur isn't necessarily designed for like these wide load combinations, it's unoptimized, the arc doesn't follow it, and this runs excessively long and low. As it is, I've probably got maybe 4 mil of clearance from the chainstay. I could lower this theoretically, but I think this is fine. So that's why, primarily chainstay clearance, and it's goofy because this isn't designed for cranks that are this small. But I think the more important question is, will it shift? And, I've done this on a few bikes and it shifts just fine. Um, can see it's going down, up, down, up, no issue. Is there a chance for dropping the chain? Yeah, absolutely. There's an increased chance of that. But I figure most people that are running this combination aren't racing, so that probably isn't too big of a factor. Yeah. Is it pretty? No. Um, is the bike going to explode because it's set up like this? Also, no. All that to say, even though it's not perfect, I thought it was worth the experiment. And I actually have two other bikes that have something similar like this. So, front derailleur that's designed for larger chain rings. It's set up, a little on the high side, but still shit's okay. Ideally, we would want to run a front derailleur like this. You can see the arc is designed to better follow the contours of a smaller chainring. Also, this part's a little bit stubbier, so should clear the chainstay a bit more. I don't know, we can put it in place there, but it would definitely offer a little bit more chainstay clearance. This is a Q's front derailleur. It's actually become one of my favorite ones for running a compact wide low. I believe this is a side swing. So on road derailleurs like this, the cable comes up from the bottom or the top. So that's bottom or top hole. Uh, in a derailleur like this, the cable actually gets routed to the front with some housing. And lots of mountain bikes have routing like this, but most road, actually all road and gravel bikes typically anticipate the cable routing coming from the bottom or the top. So there's actually no frame fixtures to help guide the cable here. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So imagine if the housing, cable housing was coming over here. You can see there's no stops. It's actually designed. This particular bike is designed to have a bare cable run. So if I were to put a front-loading top swing rear derailleur to the housing, I'd have to get creative and probably zip tie it to the rear brake housing, which I have done before in other bikes. Ideally, this crankset would be running this style of front derailleur, and you're probably wondering, well, if that's supposed to be how it is, why is it installed there? One reason, again, is I've been trying to figure out the best cable housing routing for this kind of situation. Also, we're just about to leave to Portugal, and I didn't want to have to like undo the housing and deal with the tape and all that stuff right before the trip. But another reason is that allegedly the new drop bar Q's levers aren't compatible with their mountain bike style front derailleur. Allegedly, again, I wouldn't know because Shimano doesn't return emails or anything. They're designing a different Q's front derailleur to work with the road shifters, and for some reason they're not compatible with this, even though that was supposed to be the whole stated point of Q's is cross compatibility. But again, that is kind of what I hear is the top down speak. I don't know of many people that have actually experimented with it. So at this point, for me, it's kind of received wisdom. But when we do get back from Portugal, I do plan on seeing if this will work with a road shifter. Again, these are the S-Ride shifters. You know, they're basically like Tiagra 4700 alternatives. So through transitive properties, if it works with this, then we can confirm that these front routing, top swing, Q's, front derailleurs will work with road shifter. But as you guys know, if you watch this channel, there's a lot of things that aren't supposed to work, but we can make them work. So we're going to see if we can make these work. Which leads me back to the talking point. What's up with mechanics today? In my experience, you know, I don't envy mechanics. And by the way, I am not a bike mechanic. Whatever mechanical aptitude I've learned through working with bikes was through, you know, doing dumb stuff at bike co-ops back in when we lived in Long Beach. I definitely got into bikes in the era of bike co-ops and bike kitchens and DIY stuff and not being afraid to, you know, mess with your bike. But also back then, things were a lot simpler. You know, we're at like 9 or 10 speed. And mechanics back then knew all sorts of weird mechanical wizardry. They knew hubbub routing to make campy shifters work with, you know, Shimano rear derailleurs. Back then, people were pretty well versed in all sorts of mechanical hacks. But fast forward to today, that's just not what's on modern bikes. And modern bikes is what bike shops have to sell. So a lot of that old, unsanctioned, unofficial kind of knowledge has been lost. It's been replaced with all sorts of other knowledge, like you know, hydraulic brakes, internal cable routing, wireless shifters, all that stuff. All that to say that for a mechanic today to absolutely know everything, you've got to be like a genius, right? You've got to be well versed in all the weird mechanical stuff as well as all the new modern stuff, which a lot of them take classes to get certified in, especially e-bikes and all that stuff. That's like a whole nother thing. Another thing I've seen about mechanics is that they tend to be not paid very well for the amount of knowledge and technical skill they're expected to have. Another thing is they're also working on customer bikes. So if things go wrong, it reflects poorly on the business. Whereas a lot of the stuff I do is like on my personal bike. So if things go wrong, I just can only beat up and blame myself. I can sympathize and see why, you know, mechanics don't want to do like these weird hacks that you'll see on YouTube. It might void like terms of service or conditions or warranty things, as well as bring up issues of liability. Mechanics can also be like super cranky. I know that a lot of the ones that I know as friends got into wrenching on bikes because they like bikes, and not necessarily because they like people. Having people skills, social skills, customer service skills is a whole nother kind of realm, is a whole nother skill set. And that said, you can turn off a lot of people Like the person in my email who was kind of turned away by a couple of bike shops, they ended up doing it themselves, which I think is cool. And that's kind of where I'm getting to with this talking point, if you will. Look, I truly believe we are living in or have passed, peak mechanical bike stuff. I think mechanical stuff isn't going to get any better than this. In fact, it may get worse as the bike industry focuses more research and marketing and then R&D towards electronic shifting. That's just the truth. As much as I hate it, that's probably what's happening. And because of that, a vast majority of the training, I imagine, for new bike shop employees is going to be focused on working on the new stuff and not so much the old stuff. If there is a bright side, as we are at or just past peak mechanical bike stuff, we're also at all-time high of accessing knowledge on how to work on your bike. Stuff like the Hubbub hack. Our friend at All Rounder Bicycle made a great explainer video on it. I've done a bunch of videos on how to do mullet gearing. So is Nolan over at the Bike Sauce. So that information is out there. So honestly, there is no better time than now to go buy a set of nice Allen keys, get some basic tools and the bike scan, and learn how to wrench on your bike. There's also an economic reason for doing this. I feel like bike shops are kind of cluing in on the fact that kind of a service forward business model is more profitable, just because margins on bikes are disappearing with tariffs and all that stuff. And where they can actually make a profit is through service. I expect service prices to go up. So that's another cue to learn how to work on your bike, how to get the gearing you want rather than the gearing that you're given by the big brands. So for me on the channel, there's a couple more like peak mechanical hacks I want to try now that the Q's drop bar shifters are out. And I think after that, I'm going to start to collate all that information into an ebook or like a shopping list or some kind of guide covering all the peak mechanical hacks I've done, focusing on wide low doubles because I think that's it's my favorite gearing setup, and focusing on 10 and 11 speed. I'm not going to go past 11 or anything that requires leaving the old Shimano HG hub, just because that hub is so ubiquitous. And personally, I don't need 12 or 13 speeds. And you don't need 12 or 13 speeds, in my opinion, if you're running a wide range double. If you're interested in a resource like that, let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see. If you guys enjoyed this video, please join us on Patreon. We need some funds to buy more Q's stuff. Again, not sponsored by Shimano, so we're buying a lot of stuff out of pocket. And if you guys know anything about YouTube, these videos make barely enough to buy the components that are in them. But a lot of it comes down to you guys joining us on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. There's been some confusion. You'll see these private videos on YouTube. Those are videos that Patreon members have had for literally like the last 2 years. We basically have like a whole second channel. It focuses mostly on our life in Spain, so it makes sense to do it just for our true fans rather than having it mix in with this bike stuff. All right, so look for a video seeing if AQ's front top swing front derailleur works with road shifters, as well as a bunch of other hacks in the next couple weeks after we get back from Portugal. If you happen to be in Lisbon next Thursday or this coming Thursday, we're doing a presentation at Oficina 35 at 7:30 p.m. We're going to talk about Party Paste, how it came to be, what we think it means, and how we hope to see this concept grow in the future. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, keep the supple side down.